Today we'll be taking a look at some very inexpensive optics from CVLIFE. I'm Dustin and you're watching Guns of the West. Well, I realize this is a bit more of a modern topic than what you usually see on this channel, but CVLIFE was kind enough to contact me recently and ask if I would show a few of their optics on the channel. Now, to be honest, now that the channel's audience has gotten fairly big, I get products offered to me very, very often, sometimes weekly or more, and I reject the vast majority of them because they're just so completely unrelated to the content on my channel. But CVLIFE happens to be a company I already like. In fact, I have right here, this is one of their 3-9 by 40 millimeter objective scopes. I've got two of this scope. I used to have it on both of my Ruger 1022 rifles, including this one, as you can see on your screen right now. And I've used their bipods. I've used other products from them, and so I was happy to actually help out and show these off to you. And I want to start with this one. This is what they call their hunting rifle scope. Now the one I just showed you is a 3-9 by 40. This is a 6-24 by 50. So I'm pretty excited to get out and try this one. And this is going to be just part one of the video, as you noticed in the title, because the weather hasn't really cooperated for shooting. So we're just going to do an overview of the features today on a couple of the optics, and then we'll get out and shoot in part two. So let's take a look at this. Let's just go from front to back. Up here we've got an adjustable objective for adjusting the focus for parallax. I prefer to have a side focus down here, but this is only priced, I think, at about $50 on Amazon, so I'm not going to judge it for not having all the top features that I like. The rings that you see on it, they're just basic rings, but they came with it, so at least you have something. For this particular rifle, you can see they are awfully high. I wanted to show it with what it comes with, but if I decide to keep it on this rifle, I will get some lower rings, as you might want to do as well. For the turrets, let's take these caps off. There's the elevation, and this one, of course, is for windage. They have good positive clicks. I'm not sure you can hear that. I'm going to put that right up to my microphone, and hopefully you can hear the clicks of that. They are marked almost as if they are meant to be able to be dialed for each shot. And to be honest, I've not tried this scope yet, but at this price point, I would be very surprised if this scope tracks well enough to do that. You may want to just use the markings on the reticle for hold over and hold under. But we'll see. I will test that in part two when we go out and shoot. Also, it says on there that 1 click equals 1/8 of an inch at 100 yards. If that's true, that is very fine adjustment, and I'll be putting that to the test as well. Now, this piece here, I just want to say, is not part of the scope. I added that. That is from a company called Side Shot, and I'll come back to what that is for in just a moment. Right here, you have your magnification adjustment, and I noticed immediately I like this one a lot more than I do on the old CVLIFE scopes that I had. This one turns very easily, but not too easily. And if you use a lot of rifle scopes, I'm sure you know what I mean by that. It's got a nice little grip feature on there and good grip all the way around, and turns pretty smoothly. I notice as I turn the magnification down, just before I get down to the lowest, which is 6, it feels just a little bit draggier, a little rougher, but not bad. Some cheap scopes feel like there's almost like sand in them, but this is pretty smooth. Back here, of course, you've got this adjustment here for your focus or your eyepiece. And then right on top, this scope has an illuminated reticle, and this is the dial for adjusting that, turning it on and off and adjusting brightness. It illuminates in red and green with 5 brightness settings in each. So let's take a look at that.
All right, well now I've got my side shot camera set up using that mounting piece on the scope that I mentioned before, so I can show you through the reticle. You're just taking a look at my door there. But you can see this reticle is marked, and there was no paperwork to tell me what those marks represent, whether they're MOA or whether they're supposed to be mil dots. So we'll have to test that out in part two. But I do like that it is a marked reticle. But what I really want to show you here is the illumination. So I'm going to go ahead and turn that on, first in red. So here is red on power setting 1, and it's almost tough to see that I even turned it on. It is red now, but let's kick it up to number 2. Now you can see it. You can even see some of the red glare at the bottom of the scope there. Here's number 3. and number 4, and number 5. Now you can really clearly see that it's red. This is handy, say you're out hunting, you need to watch your legal shooting hours, but this might give you a little bit more time at the first part of the morning and maybe a little more time getting towards the later part of the evening when it's getting almost too late to shoot. And again, watch your legal hunting hours. Now let's turn it off, and I'm going to go green this time. So here's green power setting 1, power setting 2, power setting 3, 4, and 5. Very, very bright now. That would obviously only want to be used outdoors. If you're at an indoor range or something, that's just going to be overwhelming to your eye. And here it is off once again.
Well, now let's take a look at this other one. This one they call their red dot sight, and again, we'll just take a look at it from front to back. First of all, these flip-up caps, those came with it. I like that. As did this ring/mount. That's all included in the Amazon purchase of this. And that ring, I like it. It's got 6 screws in it, 3 on each side, whereas the one on the hunting rifle scope just had 1 on each side. So that should actually be a decent mount, and I like the height of this one. Coming back here, we have the turrets, this one for windage, this one for elevation. And let's go ahead and take a look at that. I'll just take one off this time. The caps are held on by a rubber strap. Looks like you could pull it off, but that'll at least keep you from just dropping it on the ground. Now this turret does not turn with your fingers. You need to use a small coin or a screwdriver. I've got right here just a screwdriver bit, so I'll go ahead and see how they click, and I'll hold it to the microphone again. Still pretty positive. I like that. And it does not say what the adjustment is per click on this one, so we will just find that out in part 2. Get that back on. Get the scope cap back up again. I'll show you a picture through there so that you can see the dot. The dial for turning the dot on inside is right here, and again it's red or green. You can do either one, and with 5 adjustment settings again. Now one thing that's always a worry with a red dot sight like this, especially a budget-friendly, inexpensive one, is parallax and it being able to hold on its 0 while you might shift your head for parallax. And what I mean is, if I have the rifle up like this is kind of a bad position in this chair, but as I'm aiming the rifle, if I move my head, the fear is that the dot might move on the target, so you don't really know if it's accurate or if it's going to stay where the bullet's actually going to impact, or if it's moving with your motion. Now, I put this earlier on a rest, and I set it down there, got it nice and secure, turned the dot on, and I put it on a fixed point on a wall, and moved my head around, and I'm surprised to say, but happy to say, it holds in place very, very well, except possibly in one way. I noticed that when I move my head up, down, or to the left, it stays exactly where it should be on target. If I moved my head to the right of center, then I noticed the dot started to drift a little bit to the right. So that could be an issue, and again, we'll test it out in part 2. Now, luckily for me, I'm a right-handed shooter, so I'm on the left side, so the chances I would go right of the optic are very low. So for me, I know it's going to be fine. But again, we'll put it to the test out on the range in part 2. Well, I really hope you enjoyed this video today, just looking at an overview of the features of these 2 optics. And if you remember on the channel, I've shown other CVLIFE stuff before, including another optic on a revolver, a Heritage revolver that was also sent to me by CVLIFE with these ones. Well, please don't forget to click that like button down below and subscribe to the channel so you can see more videos, including part 2 of this CVLIFE video. But I have to say, I like CVLIFE products a lot, and so I think it's going to do pretty well at the range as well. Thank you so much for watching.